Okay, this is going to be a test of the Tier 6 Serov striking into New York. New York is a Tier 5 battleship. It's going to be covered in pretty terrible armor because it's Tier 5. We're going to try to line up a perfectly broadside shot and see what kind of damage we get. Should be a fair amount. Okay. 73. We do have a fire, which unfortunately means that we'll be having additional damage set by the fire, but at the moment that'll be okay. We're going to come in here and we're going to set it again. We'll use the second New York for some off-angle shots so that we can see what that looks like. So, here-ish. Unfortunately, the fire is actually going to take quite a bit of health. A little too low over here. We have another 63. So this was reported as the Serov was able to do 10,000 damage, strike after strike after strike, into an Oklahoma, basically wiping it out in 4 strikes from full to dead. There is actually quite a lot of damage in the Serov if none of the planes get shot down, which at Tier 6 is likely because Tier 6 AA is quite poor. Tier 6 is a learning tier. So for that reason, AA is not very strong. There's some flak, there's some AA, but it's not fantabulous. This is a pretty good line here. 6950. We actually got a double fire there, so that's more likely to interact. We haven't hit 10k yet, and we are interacting with some saturated sections of the ship. If we didn't have fire damage, this would be a different result, but worth knowing. So we're going to try to come in here broadside again and see what we can do. Not great. This is going to be a little high over here, but for the most part should be okay. And we get another 6,000. So I think our highest damage that we received off this was something like 7,800. And then fires are going to take it the rest of the way. So we didn't hit for 10,000. We did get something that was probably around 8,000-ish, and then we got a lot of 65s on New York. New York's going to be pretty similar to the Oklahoma in terms of kind of size. Maybe the Oklahoma's a little chunkier. Anyway, so what we're going to do here, you can see how extremely broadside this reticle is. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to come at it from 20-degree off angle, maybe, something like that. I mean, we can see here, this is the New York, so a 20-degree off angle would be roughly on this line. Maybe that's a little more. This is probably 15, 20. So we'll come in on this, and we'll try to keep coming in on a 20-degree off angle. So we're probably going to miss low and shatter here. This might miss a little high. Okay, 95. That one was actually quite good. That's also going to be the initial strike. At this point, the nose or maybe the top section of the New York is going to start to saturate out because this is HE ammunition. It's going to have less. So again, we're going to be coming in at like a 15, 20 degree angle. And it sucks that we got fires, but because that's going to bleed some health. But we're really just looking for what did our shot actually perform. So you got pretty much a dead line here. We're going to have some strays. 6,000. So we're striking 6,000s again. I should have actually added a third New York, because then we could do like a 30-degree offset. But still, this is pretty decent. We might actually be able to catch the fire damage off a recap. So a little low here. Gonna miss some down on the bottom. 69. So, pretty consistent there. We have a 6,000, a 69. I think the first one was 9,500. It's the highest that we've seen. And with the fires going, probably just one more strike. This is, of course, without a damage con. This is, of course, without a heal. But as we can see, very powerful. So, Russian CV is built in its alpha strike. If you're able to kill any of the planes, which again, it's going to be very hard dealing with Tier 6 and being able to kill some planes. That one's a 5, plus we had some gun interactions there. And most likely the fire will burn this out. So Let's go ahead and stop here, and then we can jump back in. Why don't we add some AA to the New York? I don't really expect it to matter very much, because it is a tier 5. I guess we could do a tier 6 then. We'll do a tier 6 just for funds. So is this New Mexico? Sure. So we'll make sure it's armed. They probably won't be able to see us, and we can have 2 of them together. I don't think it'll matter too much. The reason for this, we're going to start to do some off-angle shots. So what does that mean? All right, so here our carriers pointed in this direction. Here is some, theoretically, some bad guy incoming fire. Now we might have our carrier tilted at this area, so that if the shots were coming in, they might ricochet off the hull. In this, we're about 15 degrees off angle from the threat. So if we were able to turn the ship to something like this, you know, if the threat's out there, we're still 15 degrees off angle to the threat. It's a 30-degree turn, but in terms of the threat, we haven't really exposed ourselves. We might have pulled our rear guns out of action, which is no fun, but in terms of being safe, it's an option that we have. So if this could go theoretically from here down to there, then we have to look at if a battleship or if a surface ship or whatever is providing some angle to an enemy and uses that while kind of nosing over, we could have something much sharper. For instance, this could have been positioned this way and instead comes over. So we're going to give it more of an angle, probably something like this. They're going to come in. I don't think we're going to take any plane losses. We do not. Oh, wait. We lost 1 plane, actually. All right, 85. So significant. Oh, wait, actually, I have to stop because they will see me and then they will shoot me. So this test might end early. Still, we're going to assume for the off angle here. Let's go. So this is 90. This is probably 45-degree off angle. Maybe that's a little too much, but we're going to do the thing. So we're going to come in, lift up over the flak, slow down. Oh, okay. We again lost 1 plane. And we're actually going to have the planes land so that we can come out with another full salvo. 62. Okay. Did we get out? Maybe we got out. Nope, this still shows us detected. We'll take a few shots and then we'll be dark again. Should be okay. Do something like that. Alright, so we're going to go in, and these are just AI bots. These are, they're not using priority sector. These might actually be unupgraded hulls. We still lose 1 before we shoot. So this is just the difference between they're here, that would be straight toward the threat, this would be angled to the threat. So fully broadside, angled down, this is roughly a 35 offset. And we have to wait for planes to come back. Now granted, this is a tier 6 ship. This is not a tier 5, and there are 2 of them. One of the things that I try to say in terms of being helpful is, if you are alone, AA is not necessarily meant for being alone. AA is meant for having an AA buddy, one other person that can be there to help you out. Why? Because if you look over here on the bottom left, you're going to see a little green patch, boop, appear, show up. That is from priority sector. Priority sector does a set amount of health damage. In this case, for the battleships, it would be 3.5% current health. So 2 shots would be 7% of current health. Times 9 is math. Times 10 would be 70. So it'd be what, 63? So 63% of one of these planes would be removed just by both battleships hitting priority sector. In which case the AA should finish off the plane and potentially be working into the next, if that's the case. So we're going to accelerate through this. We don't have a flak interaction. We still lost a plane. Because these really don't have very much health. 4,000. And we have to wait for the planes to come back. Which looks like we lost another 2 there. So these planes actually quite brittle. They don't have quite a... They really don't have very much health. Jesus, 980. I might not have a commander on this, which would at least give it some more survivability, but, like, that's pretty terrible. Obviously, there's torps and skip bombs, and there are other methods, but in terms of rocket play, the goal of the the goal of countering a Russian CV is going to be trying to kill the planes. Now, obviously, at Tier 5, you don't have great AA. Tier 4, you don't have great AA. But as awkward as this sounds, the Tier 6 Serov doesn't have soul-crushing amounts of damage. Yeah, it can consistently cause a pretty big amount of oof, but when we look at this reticle, the reticle is going to be so extremely broadside that you can see how many of the rockets miss when you're able to get that 30-degree offset. Just go from here to here. It's very significant. It's not that you have to turn full broadside so you get murdered by the enemy. You're just basically doing an S-curve, an S-weave. So that you don't, I mean, it's just a basic form of evasion. This would be 45. Maybe this is about 40-ish. And that was terrible, so. Anyway, there have been multiple strikes here, and this thing has survived. Granted, the Tier 5, I think, had 48,000 health, but this one still would probably have just died at this point, which is discounting heals, it's discounting priority sector, it's discounting captain skills if you happen to spec into it. If you had a destroyer that was able to chip in some AA before when the rockets went terminal attack run, it is what it is. You have teammates, you have positioning, you can move your ship. It's not, I'm not trying to say just dodge, it's just more if you're going forward or if you're in a static position and you see, ooh, wait, I'm in the front now, I'm potentially a CV target, understand that and be ready to try to alter your position, even if minutely, to be able to lessen the incoming damage. Anyway, I hope this was helpful.